I'm Tim Desclitz, and I'm the artist sculptor who produced a series of works for the Bank Street project within the Glebe area. Overall, there's 22 sculptures located at 13 sites. The sculptures are a series of chairs that symbolize sort of a community coming together, a meeting place, also a place to rest, commune, and to sort of rest and see the environment. You want the sculpture to run the test of time, so you want the sculpture to have an aesthetic appeal that will go past what's hot today. You want to actually base it on sort of the realm of art history and sort of bring that to the sculptures. Also, you want the sculpture somewhat, I think, to be easily read. Read at different levels, so the sculptures would always interact over time with the population within the community.
My name's David Charnushenko. I'm the City Councillor for Capital Ward, which includes Bank Street, which is where we are right now with one of Ottawa's latest public art projects. It livens up streetscapes like a street like Bank Street here. I think public art gives character to neighborhoods.
I think one of the most interesting things about getting into public art and as an artist doing public art is working with a team of people. This is Mike, my fabricator, welder, and all the work went through his shop at Milligan Ironworks.
It's been really exciting working with someone who really brought life to the shop. We'd have a nice, beautiful weld, and Tim would say, nope, make it look thicker, make it like an artist made it. So we had a lot of fun doing that with him and coming up with ideas on what type of steel would work with designs and whatnot. It's been a lot of fun.
There's always a relationship between the artist and those people creatively and technically on the piece. So really they become very much part of the piece. And there's no way the piece would have evolved into what it was creatively and technically if it wasn't for Mike's shop. So that's why on the plaque on 4th, I sort of point out listing all those people because they're integral to the development of these.
Back in the spring of 2012, just after the Bank Street reconstruction was wrapping up, I organized one of my regular Capital Ward walks. And in this case, I wanted to do one that introduced people to the new public art here and to actually meet the artist and do a tour together.
And I think that's really positive. One, it shows a lot of support for the artwork and myself, and giving me the opportunity with him to walk with people from the Glebe to see the pieces and sort of explain a bit about them. So it sort of gives them an entry point into the sculptures. I think another thing that's important for these type of things where local artists are being picked for local community work, that the work was fabricated within the city. I think it's extremely important that the whole budget went into shops within the Ottawa area, so the money never left the area, and I'm proud of that aspect in the development of the project.
I think I drink too much tuna juice. What was in that room?
Hello, young man. Do you long for adventure? The fact that you have entered my secret haven tells me so. For eons, I've been studying the human world in an effort to graduate goddess school. Sadly, I was overcome with bouts of procrastination, and I've been suspended from Goddess School for an incomplete summative. I was assigned the subject of public art. Unfortunately, I forgot my textbook at school, and I can't go back to get it. I only read 2 pages. In ancient Greece, during the 17th and 18th century, public sculptures were displayed in marketplaces to commemorate and memorialize important people and events, to promote civic duty and religious virtue. These works are mostly figurative, like the Colossus of Rhodes, or architectural, like the Parthenon. As the 1950s and 60s approached, modern abstract art was more sought after than figurative art. As a result, changed public art forever. As cities developed and grew, so did citizens' appetite for public art. Public art isn't a movement per se, but it can encompass many movements. It is an accessible way of presenting art to the general public. It's easy to see public art, but it's difficult to make it. It can cost so much that often the artist isn't even the one paying for its creation. Government or private donors have to step in. The actual creation is also much more restricted. The proposal has to be approved by the community first, and even when it's installed, there are sometimes petitions to have it removed. Venture out into the human world and continue the story where I left off. There will be a reward, of course. Take this crest. It will teleport you where you need to be.
What's that?
Hey there, little fella. This here is a really significant sculpture in the public art world. Pablo Picasso gifted this modern masterpiece to Chicago. If you knew anything about art history, you would know that this baby is cubist. You could tell by its fractal form and interlocking shapes.
Why should I care?
Because in 1967, Picasso's sculpture sparked the Art in Public Places program, which helped artists create and install public art all over the place. It's untitled. Folks just call it Chicago Picasso.
Oh.
It's the Charging Bull by Arturo de Modica. This is also known as the Wall Street Bull. You know what that symbolizes? Optimism, aggression, and unpredictability in the stock market. The artist also made 2 other bronze bulls, one in Shanghai called the Bund Bull, and a smaller version of the bull in Amsterdam. Here in the financial district of Manhattan, people need something macho to look up to and rub. Apparently, people like to touch the bull for financial luck.
It's an ice cream cone!
No, this is in fact a shuttlecock. This birdie was created by Claes Oldenburg. It's about 18 by 50 feet. He was inspired by the layout of the Nelson Atkins Museum ground here in Kansas City. The whole ground looking like a badminton court and the museum being the net. There was some controversy when Mr. Oldenburg got these birdies installed on the museum ground. Some uppity-ups thought the subject matter was too lowly for such a prestigious museum, but museum staff defended the sculptures from an art historian's perspective, saying that everyday objects have an important place in art.
Don't be afraid. This is a tribute to Louise Bourgeois' mother. Louise Bourgeois is the artist. The spider represents her mother's strength and nurturance. It also represents her mother's weaving abilities, as she used to repair tapestries. Spiders eat mosquitoes. This symbolizes the protection her mother provided for her when there were negative people in her life. Sadly, the artist's mother passed away. Bourgeois has many steel and bronze arachnid sculptures on display across the globe, but this one is right here in Ottawa, outside of the National Art Gallery of Canada, free for anyone to see. That's what makes it public art.
Can I touch it?
This isn't a toy, it's Balloon Dog, a piece of art created by Jeff Koons. The Balloon Dog is from a series of metallic balloon sculptures created in order to celebrate the hope of return of Ludwig from Rome, whatever that means. This thing is stainless steel polished with a transparent coat of color. Many of the pieces from the Celebration series sold for record prices up in the millions. The most notable trivia tidbit about the stock is that it is the most expensive work of art by a living artist ever sold at auction.
Opinions of Jeff Koons' work is very divided. You got your Koons lovers and your Koons haters. People love him because his work is bold, shiny, and tantalizing. Others hate him because of the hollow meanings, his grating personality, and of course the sheer amount of money he gets. But it's up to you to decide. Excuse me, are you okay? Do you need help?
Don't worry, it's not a real woman. It's The Tumbling Woman by Eric Fischel. It's a patriotic bronze sculpture meant to start conversation about the rights of victims of 9/11. Sadly, lots of people misinterpreted the artist's intent, sparking a lot of controversy. The Tumbling Woman was supposed to pay tribute to those who jumped or fell from the towers during the attacks. It was deemed too graphic and troublesome for the public that they had to remove the sculpture and make a formal apology.
How rude.
It's not real, it's just an interactive video sculpture called Crown Fountain. It's designed by Jaume Plensa, and it's featured in Chicago's Millennium Park. The fountain is a black granite reflecting pool between a pair of towers that have a monitor to display the faces. The artwork explores themes of sensuality, of water and light. The two screens show videos of random Chicago citizens with different combinations staring at each other, symbolizing duality. The faces change every 5 minutes, each one ending their turn by spitting. As you can see, people like to splash around in the water. The towers are 50 feet tall. Crown Fountain cost $17 million. More money than you'll ever know.
How rude.
The Gates, a piece by Christo and Jean-Claude. In Manhattan, in Central Park, 23 miles, 7,503 flowing orange nylon fabric. The Gates were officially done on February 12th, 2005, and were closed on February 27th, 2005. The gates were inspired by Japanese torii gates. The artists created the gates for themselves. They had no purpose but self-satisfaction. A lot of people complained about them.
Ooh, what is this one? I like this. What is it? It is The Cloud Gate by Anish Kapoor. It is 33 by 42 by 66 feet. Ooh! This was made between 2004 and 2006. It is the centerpiece of AT&T Plaza at Millennium Park in Chicago, Illinois. It is also known as the Jelly Bean. It was inspired by the liquid mercury and it was the result of a design competition. It is made of 168 stainless steel plate welded together. Exterior has no visible seam. The mirror surface reflect and distort the city skyline and citizens. Because of this, it has become popular locally and international. Ducky!
Pretty cool, huh? That's part of a series of funny rubber ducks called Spreading Joy Around the World. Florentine Hoffman made these to spread joy and revive childhood memories, hopefully making viewers feel nostalgic in a good way. It's made of 200 pieces of PVC put together to create this inflatable sculpture. This ducky is also 85 by 66 by 105 feet and 1,600 pounds. Monstrous. There were a bunch of these ducks made all over the world, from South Korea to Australia and even Belgium. Apparently people in Belgium didn't really like it. I mean, someone stabbed it 42 times.
I know what you mean, man. It's officially called Blue Mustang, but the locals call it Blucifer. Luis Jimenez is the artist, or was the artist. 2 years before the horse's completion, a section of the sculpture fell on him and severed an artery in his leg, and now he is dead. Demonic glowing red eyes are actually a tribute to the artist's father, who was a neon sign maker. This beast is meant to pay tribute to the wild American spirit here at Denver International Airport. Locals who hated it at first have warmed up a little after 5 years of living with the sculpture and decided not to petition to take it down. Instead, they value its ability to start a conversation. It's still scary. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Madame.
Madame who?
Madame Foot's caught in the door. Hee 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 hee.
Oi, you can stop right there. This is art you're talking about here. The 1,000 Doors is a found object installation piece by South Korean artist Choi Jung-hwa. He rummaged together 1,000 doors and created this pixelated design on a 10-story building in Seoul. The artist has been making artworks from recycled materials since he realized drawing and painting wasn't for him. He would walk down alleys and pick up discarded items. Seeing workers constructing and building, he came to the conclusion that regular people were better at making things than artists. He decided to be an ordinary person who thinks like an artist.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Armageddon.
Armageddon who?
Armageddon out of here. Whee, this is fun.
Is he allowed up there?
Yep, that's the Woodsumnet by Tezuka architect and Toshiko Horuichi for Japan's Hakone Open Air Museum. The artist says it represents the energy of a campfire. The kids playing in the center being the fire, and the parents sitting on the wooden exterior being the wood to keep the fire burning. This colorful net is completely hand-knitted by the artist for children to jump, curl, and play on. The exterior structure is made of wood joints connected without any metal parts. It provides seating for parents to supervise their children with proper maintenance. They say the structure can last up to 300 years.
We've been expecting you. We are members of the Guardians of Time. The Guardians of Time were created by Manfred Kilnoffer. He believes that strange beings are watching over and protecting mankind at all times. Kilnoffer was also intrigued by humans as a source of danger to mankind. Over the next 7 years, we began to spawn all over Europe. The Guardians of Time are one of the many examples of public art pieces that come in series, much like Demodica's bulls and Hoffman's ducks. Now, you are near the end of your journey. We are here to guide you to your last destination. Your last destination is fixed by Mobayan, a nude fat bald person climbing a ladder and peering into a gallery window. The thick figure represents the different perspectives of Western and Eastern culture on obesity. At the same time, the sculpture represents the growing divide between the rich and the poor. The obese figure represents the gluttonous nature of the wealthy. The ladder reaching to the window of the West Gallery symbolizes China's wealthy looking into the Western world. He desires to be a part of the gallery but remains an outsider.
I've been waiting for you. Let us see what knowledge you have retrieved for me. This is just excellent. This is precisely what I was looking for. I have all the information on public art I'll ever need. Where's your bibliography? You don't have a bibliography? Okay, I'll let you off the hook if you can answer these 2 skill-testing questions. How is Picasso's untitled piece in Chicago significant to the history of public art?
That's easy. Picasso's untitled sculpture jump-started the National Endowment of the Arts Art in Public Place program. It got people interested in seeing public art and got government interested in funding it.
This next one is a little more challenging. What is public art? A. Art for poor people. B. Art that the general public likes. C. Sliced bread browned on both sides by exposure to radiant heat. D.
Any media that has been planned and created with the intention of being staged in public.
I'm gonna have to ask the audience.
Correct. You may go now.
What about my reward?
The experience was the reward. Just kidding.